Hello, Outlanders. Welcome to another episode of Vigor Dev Talks. I'm your host, Tony, and today I am joined by Filip Daňhel, our game designer. So, Filip, thank you for being with us today.
My pleasure.
So, game designer, right? You want to first say a couple of words for the people listening who might not be familiar with you from, either our dev diaries or our dev streams. Just like a quick introduction.
Yeah, sure. My name is Filip. I am a game designer here on a Vigor project, which means that I am a part of bringing, let's say, new mechanics into the game, about balancing things that are in, make sure that everything works, and basically make sure that the game is as fun as possible to bring the most out of it.
Awesome. So, game designer, how does one actually become a game designer?
That depends on what you mean by that. If you mean like how do you enter the position of a designer in a studio, that's up to the studio, right? But if a person thinks he is a game designer and he tries to be, that's what it defines it. Like being a designer means being interested in the design of the games, and then it's just up to you how good designer you are. If you cultivate that the abilities, or if you just let it be. But when you think about yourself as a designer, you basically are a game designer.
But what are some of the qualities that make a good game designer?
That's a question. That's a good question. If you look at it from the professional point of view, like from the studio point of view, let's say, that depends heavily on the project, I think. Because we are working, for example, on a free-to-play shoot and loot game. So different qualities are important than in, let's say, premium RPG thing. But every designer I think it is useful for every designer to have a wide overview of the projects, to have an open mind, and not to be afraid of trying things. But that includes also deconstructing them back again and learn from your mistakes. And most importantly, do not be afraid of mistakes. Make mistakes. But that's my personal point of view.
Yeah, but that's kind of like a life lesson, though. It applies to life in general, right?
Yeah, it is. Because your whole life you're told not to make mistakes. That's all wrong. You are supposed to make as many mistakes as you can.
Yeah, the point is to learn from them and move forward.
Exactly.
So, as we know, there are different types of designers, right? There's a gameplay designer, there's a monetization designer, there's, different aspects. It's very broad, I would say. And depending on the project, depending on the studio. But is there something that really differentiates what you specifically do compared to other guys in your team?
I wouldn't say that's something very specific about it, but it doesn't mean that we all do the same thing. But yeah, we are like, how many people? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Let's say five or six people, and every one of us have his own, let's say, area of expertise, things that we are used to do in our work time. But then, if someone, let's say, goes on vacation or is sick, we need to be ready to step in for the next person. But me personally, the last 4 seasons, let's say, it was mainly me who were assigned to design all the assets, all the graphical assets for the battle pass,
right,
for the premium packs and all that. So I was mainly for a long time, even the solitary person who was communicating with the arts team and with production and tuning the assets to be the best they are. And right now, I already have help from some of my colleagues. We altered the process, and right now I'm working on the weapon overhaul, which is like a different from one side to another. It's a whole different thing. So now I'm swamped with Excel tables and analytics and taking apart the weapons and putting them back again. Not not like not for real, but
in a technical standpoint.
in the technical digital game sense. But yeah, so our focus also shifts from update to update. Yeah, it can happen, and that's the main part. Well, that's the main reason why designers should have an open mind.
Yeah,
because anything can come your way.
Like, if I may ask, for the listeners who might not be familiar with the technical aspect of the job and game dev, but are, let's say, interested in it, what would you say are the steps or like the process you take when designing something new or a new feature? Like, what is the things that you do step by step, and you need to consider some of like the risks or some of the possible obstacles when it comes to designing a new feature?
Yeah, that may be, what example could I use? Okay, yeah, I mean, a new mechanic in the game. That's a good example, I'd say. For example, when we last implemented, let's say the adrenaline shot, a consumable that you use, it will boost your speed. It will it alters your stamina depletion. You get faster for some time, and it depletes, and then something else happens. So in that, there are like 5 or 6 different big things you need to think of.
Right.
And one of those that can not one, but many of those can blow up in your face. When you, for example, when we, for example, would set the stamina depletion too low, or stamina depletion penalty too low, the players could cover the biggest maps in like 30 seconds or something like that. And that could break the game. So we need, for example, in this case, we need to evaluate how fast the players can move through the biggest maps. How far apart are the airdrop spawn points from the exits? And because if we fiddle with it too much and we like overshoot it, we can break the whole game, because then it becomes exploit, and people will want to play the best as they can, and
But that involves a lot of, like, let's say, trial and error, right?
Oh yes.
So like you set a parameter for the stamina depletion, you test it out, you see, no, this isn't working, we need to tweak it, right? So from what I understand, it's a lot of trial and error until you find a sweet spot where you're happy with it, and you're kind of in the middle ground between it's valid in terms of gameplay, that it doesn't break the essential core of the game, so like it's not exploitable, and on the other hand, it's also fun to use for the end user, right? So you need to find always that sweet spot between what the players would like and what is technically doable in the game, right?
You put it quite nicely. Yeah, that's exactly it. We need, as you said, we need to make sure that it doesn't break the game. But then again, it needs to be fun for the player. Otherwise, it would be no use to us, Lars. So it still should be fine. So finding that sweet spot, that takes a lot of work. And with more factors that, let's say, the consumable affects, the more tedious the process is, because it may affect something else. People will start, like, for example, use heavier guns or lighter guns, and we need to assess that. What is the difference between a heavy gun and those? And all like balls up, together.
So there's a lot of things that correlate, right?
Yeah,
a lot of things that correlate, and a lot of room for big things to break, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, so would you say it's difficult, because I know from a design standpoint, sometimes you are designing a feature or a mechanic in advance before the community has a chance to test it out. So basically you're kind of quote unquote predicting if they're gonna like it or not. So how difficult do you find finding that balance between what you think the community might like and what they actually like?
The key to this, one of the things that can help us the most, is to be at least partially a part of the community. If we can see how the community behaves, what they talk about, how they play, we can get a gist of what they would expect, what they would want, how they would react if we present them something that we think. The more we are part of the community, the better the assessment is. Yeah. But then again, we have number of projects like worldwide we can take a look at, right? Similar, like Vigor is special, and I didn't see too much projects as Vigor,
Yeah.
but we can take a look at some of free-to-play projects and take a look on how that affected the players, what they like. But it's not that is not too much relevant as much as talking with our community what they want.
True. So for example, like we've had several instances where we thought that by implementing a certain feature, players would behave a certain way or they would use it in a certain way. But when we actually, like launched the season and the new feature was there, or like the new consumable or whatever, we saw that the community was using it in a completely different way that we didn't anticipate as the dev team, right? So when this happens, how important is it to adjust your, let's say, design of that feature?
To be honest, I think that if it's fun for people to use it the way they are using it, and it's not breaking anything, it's not exploiting anything, there's no point of like caging it up. No, we meant it like that. But yeah, you use it as you like. If it's fun and it works, there's still more things to consider. Like if they use it differently, they might desire it in a different amount, let's say. So we might alter its probability to show up in the reward boxes or something like that. But the play style and overall usability and use style of the consumable, if it's not breaking anything, if it's not exploiting, I mean, yeah, use it in any way you can.
So, okay, fair enough. What would you say about this debate that's going on about the radiation grenade? So people can throw a radiation grenade in a loot event area, barred house, time safe, or locked container. It will radiate the whole area.
And it will stay there
for the duration of the game. So either if you really want to risk it, you just like pop 3 iodines, go in and get out and kind of like hope for the best, or you just basically made those areas untouchable and unreachable in the map. So like, what would you say about this kind of like debate going on? Because obviously the radiation grenade is working as intended and as designed, right? So what's your take on this?
There are two possible views of how to look at it, but I'll start with what I personally think. I personally think that it would be more fun to let it disappear after a certain time. Because I personally don't see any added value or fun factor in it for staying there until the end of the match. That is easily exploited, that's easily used to, I don't know, bully less experienced players, whatever. But then again, it offers some extra challenge, extra hurdle you can try to jump over. And the main thing is that we should evaluate the data and listen to the community of what the effect actually is. Because sometimes it happens that a lot of people from the community say one thing and then the reality is they are in the vast minority, let's say.
Right. Yeah.
But personally, I see this as a thing that could be changed for more fun. Even though my personal view on that is that I can imagine the radiation grenade, the effect disappearing after a random time value between 3 and let's say 5 minutes. So you cannot exactly anticipate when it's going to disappear. Something like that, some subtle thing, but
make it more dynamic.
Yeah. But the original idea was, as you said, it was designed that way. That we will drop the radiation there. It stays out then still until the end of the match because the radiation comes, even though that the radiation is still there. So it comes anyway. But I personally can see it changed, but we need to carefully evaluate what that actually will do. What the effect will be.
Because basically getting a few concerns like this on social media from our community, or like getting, like a couple of dozen people saying so, that does not represent, I would say, the whole opinion of our whole community.
But still, we need to take that seriously because they are part of the community. They are the players. So we need to make it fun, as much fun for pretty much for everybody as possible.
That's I guess the most difficult thing in the whole of game dev is trying to find that spot where you satisfy as many people as you can. Because
Exactly.
let's be honest, like there's nothing perfect. Nobody's ever going to be fully satisfied. There's always going to be something to always improve. But yeah, like the biggest struggle is to find the spot where you satisfy as many people as you can.
Exactly. Yeah.
So onto a bit more of a personal questions now. What would you say is the favorite feature you've designed in Vigor so far?
Ooh.
Or at least, you know, like we're a part of and like you proudly wear it as a badge on your chest. Like, I made this happen.
I'm not sure. There was so many things.
We can do a top 3 if you want.
I don't know if I can choose even. Like, I think like in some time, I hope it can be a short time already, but in some time, the completion of the weapon overhaul will be the one big thing that will be off our chest, and
we're all waiting for that.
Yeah. Including the community, including the dev team, we are all waiting for that. But I'm not sure if a specific mechanic. Oh, maybe the smoke grenade. The smoke grenade was a big thing. It doesn't seem like a big thing because it's just a smoke grenade, right? But for our dev team, that was a long journey. That was a pain. Nobody I don't think that anybody could imagine in the start that it's gonna be so difficult to actually like achieve, to get it to a level that it's actually usable and it looks good and it works in all places and all that. So that might be one of the biggest things. Even though I wasn't exactly elbows deep in the process, we were shifting in that because there were more priorities going around. But yeah, I was basically part of it, and for the most time, and that felt like a big thing, even though it doesn't seem like one.
Big sigh of relief, right? Once that was released.
And basically the all new consumables. Every new consumable brings some new mechanics. So, and I think I was a part of everyone at some point from season 16, let's say. And so there was bear trap. There was
there was a bear.
The adrenaline shot. Yeah, that was
the
also a
adrenaline
pain
shot.
to balance. That was a real pain to balance. Yeah, technologically, yeah, could be done. Yeah, great. There was no problem, but balance it properly. That was that was a pain.
And what would you say is the best feature or like a design of a feature that you've seen in any game outside of Vigor?
Ooh, that's a tough one.
Like something that really stood out for you while playing a game and you just said like, wow, like I would love to either be a part of this or implement it, let's say, in Vigor, or try to implement it?
Well, two things stand out. I don't know how relevant they will be because it's like out of the blue, and I really didn't expect that kind of question. I would have prepared better, but
it's these quick fire questions that get you going.
Yeah, it's mainly based on what we were talking with our colleagues recently, let's say like last week or something. But yeah, these things stood out, even though one of them is really old. And one of them it was an old game, Rogue Trooper. Do you remember that? Rogue Trooper. And there was for that time when it came out, it's 2000, I don't know, 2004 or 6 or something like that, like 20 years. Wow. And there was a mechanic there that the character is holding one big automatic rifle. It's optimizable, shoot, fire mode and all that. But there was a mechanic when you can put it down on the ground and make a turret out of it, like self-aware turret. But then you are off just with your handgun and with your offhand. So you can prepare an ambush and you can prepare distraction, but then you are like really, really less effective in the combat, which is kind of a heretic approach for that time. And I thought that couldn't work. That's shit because you place on ground, then you're unusable. It worked really well.
It did.
Yeah, it was really good. And the feeling of that you're more vulnerable and yeah, that was an interesting thing.
Basically, it's like this, I would imagine, a calculated risk that you are taking in that game, right?
Yeah. Which was really like, I didn't see anything like that up to that time.
That's pretty cool.
That was really weird. And another thing that stands out for me, and that's basically because I am an RPG person, but that combat system in Kingdom Come Deliverance. Combat system in Kingdom Come is something really unique, and I imagine it must have been real pain to design it, implement it, and even test it and balance it. It must have been a real pain to do that, but the outcome is something that I see as rather unique.
Another gem from the Czech gaming industry,
Definitely.
I would say.
Definitely, yeah. Even though it's a whole system, it's not a mechanic or something, but the system itself, I really like how you suck for a long time when you're trying to use it and you fail, and it immediately throws you back into the loop. So you have to use it, so you have to learn it, and the frustration generates your intention to get better in the combat. So that was rather unique, even though it's not that highly visible or yeah.
So as an RPG player, right? I just had this question pop up in my head. I just had to ask. Have you seen any like sort of big differences or shift in how these like systems are designed and implemented from 20 years ago until now?
Oh yeah. I think then again, I don't have overview of all the projects out there, but I feel like the style it was used to be done in has somehow branched into two approaches. And one of them is really like benevolent for the player, benevolent to the player. They're guided. They learn the player every aspect of the system. So with the premise that the player has to have the most fun out of it. So the system will teach the player everything about the system so we can use it effectively. And then the second approach is that there is a system. It's there. You can use it, or you don't have to, and it tends to be a kind of a pain for the player at some point. But then the sense of achievement, like oh yeah, I discovered how that works, and I can use it now and discover your way in it. It's more close to the style it was done before, mainly, but less people tend to
like go for
it. Yeah. I think players tend to be more comfortable in the position that you can always look back on something that you learned before, and you already know that.
You have that comfort knowing that the game is kind of guiding you and holding your hand along the way, right?
And I'm not saying that it doesn't offer challenges along the way. It certainly does. But I personally tend to go for the projects that don't explain too much, and therefore, with the limitation, they offer you this kind of challenge of like going through something that's not explored yet.
Yeah. So I would imagine, as an example, all the like Soulsborne games, you would put them in the category where there's the system, figure it out, have fun, dying a million times until you get it right. But the moment you do, that's that sense of achievement.
Yeah. And that's an interesting thing, because I tried out I tried out Dark Souls. I really gave it a good try, and I want to in the future once again. I didn't. It's not my jam. I don't know. I don't know why, because it's supposed to, right?
Yeah. It ticks all the boxes, right?
I was really like confused about that, because I was playing, and when I committed to something, and from time to time I play projects that basically one would say shouldn't interest me as much, and it's not that fun for me, but I like to try it, give it a go, and deconstruct it in my head along the way, and because why I don't like it. I'm interested in why it doesn't appeal to me. And I was really convinced that Dark Souls, finally, that's my time. And I was starting, it was like 8 hours in, and still nothing. I don't know why. It's weird. It's really weird.
I remember I was getting like the biggest frustration out of Dark Souls. I also played Elden Ring. Like I still haven't finished the game. It's I'm still still struggling to finish it. But I have to say, like, I kind of understand why these Souls-like games, as they are called, are not for everyone. I understand that they have like a huge cult following. I get the appeal of that. And on the other hand, I understand why somebody would say, I would love to play it, but it's too difficult. Like, I get that. I understand.
But then again, I grew up with the games where you have just two lives, and and you've screwed up, and then you're dead. We'll start again, right? So that's really like up my street. But for some reason, it didn't click.
You win some, you lose some, right?
Yeah, exactly.
And what's the one game that you've been playing lately that's like really taking up your time?
Some short time ago, I finally got to play a short hike. I love these indie projects, and there was one of the best. Oh my god! But recently I came back to, well, in terms of most hours spent on the game, I think on Steam I have something over 2,600 hours on Mountain Blade Warband. But I haven't played that in a while. That's a really, that's an old thing. That was a part of me a long time, and still is. But now recently I came back to Skyrim because I wanted to test out. I didn't play it like for like, let's say 6 years or something, and I wanted to test out if it's still that good, if it appeals the same to me as it did before.
Right.
Because I tend to realize that the projects I love, like the time has passed and then it's not that fun anymore, right?
Yeah.
And so I go back to it, and it's still the same, surprisingly.
Yeah?
It's still the same fun, yeah.
Still the same fun?
Yeah, the quest lines that I played the most, those like kind of a mechanical go through, but I'm still discovering something I didn't discover before, and it's still the overall feel from it. It's still the same fun.
That's cool that some games can stand the test of time like this.
Yeah.
Because
and it's natural. Yeah.
Skyrim is it's not like a new game. Like it's been around.
Yeah.
Right?
Oh, 12 years.
So yeah, I mean, to be able to stand the test of time and say that like after 12 years I can still deliver, new experiences and stuff like that for players. Not every game can do that.
Well, maybe it's because I know it too well, and I know what to do now. And before I was discovering it, and now I'm comfortable in it. I don't know, but yeah, it still stands up.
That's cool. That's awesome. So we're kind of reaching the end of today's episode. Before we say goodbye, I would like to ask you, Filip, if you would have any like parting words of wisdom for some of our listeners who might be interested in game design, and maybe they would like to hear a piece of advice coming from somebody in the industry.
I would definitely say that someone who is trying to make their way into game dev, or even maybe specifically design, the main thing is to just do it. If you're interested in doing it, just do it, and you will learn along the way a lot. If you start doing it, you will eventually get better with everything you do. And the second most important thing is like make mistakes. You're supposed to make mistakes. You will learn the best from your mistakes. The point where it can go wrong is when you put the mistake aside and try again. Don't put it aside. Like analyze what's gone wrong, what couldn't be better, what was good even. Don't analyze just what's bad, but also what is good. That is that's basically it. If you don't put your mistakes aside, take a good look at them, and really do things, like go and do it, like even on paper or something. Connect those dots, and things start to come live, and that's what matters. Open mind, don't panic, make mistakes.
Just go for it,
and
right?
Do. Yeah.
Just do it.
Just do. It sounds simple. I know it's not. It's a real pain to start with something, but when you start, you need also to finish. When you finish a project, it doesn't have to be in the form you were going for, but it just needs to be working. Like, yes, it's closed. Yes, this moves, and it's done, and close it. That's like end the project and end the level.
Yeah. Wow, that's a very helpful piece of advice. I hope some of you guys listening might find this inspiring, so you can actually like follow your dream. If your dream is to get into game design and game dev in general, we hope you have enjoyed our little episode today. We hope you had some fun times with Filip and I. You learned a few things about game dev, and until the next episode, we'll see you in the Outlands. Bye-bye.
Bye.